Hi guys, it's Debbie, and today I would like to give a complete explanation of Enemy, directed by Denis Villeneuve. If you haven't seen the movie, beware of spoilers because this video will cover the entire plot. Enemy follows a very complicated storyline, but it can be simplified down to the story of one troubled man portrayed by Jake Gyllenhaal. As the story proceeds, we see that this man is struggling with maintaining control over his life. He fails to have a stable relationship, he has little to no social interaction, and when it occurs it is very stiff and awkward. He spends his nights thinking things over and his agitated mind is affecting his work. But we see two identical versions of this distressed man. On the one hand, we have history teacher Adam. He lives a chaotic, unorganized life. His lectures at school are a mess of jumbled words. His students are starting to leave his classes. He is caught up with a hefty backlog of paperwork at night. We see him stressing over everything. Even his physical appearance is never neat and trimmed. Then we meet fancy actor Anthony. He lives in a high-end apartment, he wears flashy clothes, has a cool job, but he is also stressing over relationship issues with his wife. Adam and Anthony are the same person. They are not identical twins, they are not some sort of supernatural coincidence. As director Denis Villeneuve said, the whole film is the analysis of one man's mind. It is the mind of a man which is frustrated with his life. He is married, he has a heavily pregnant wife, but he feels trapped, he feels controlled by the whole situation. He is unhappy, he has cheated on his wife numerous times. We even hear his mother scolding him for failing to keep one woman. His wife asks him, "Are you seeing her again?" During the film, he cheats on her again. We see him attending sex clubs, probably to stop himself from cheating. But even when he meets pretty women, when he's out and about, we still see he's tempted. We can really tell he feels trapped in this life. One clue that immediately points out that Anthony and Adam are the same person is the fact that we only ever see them together alone. We never see them both interacting with other people. Even all the exchanges of life and clothes towards the end of the film are just the thoughts of one person. The two men just simply agree on cheating on their partners. They agree to give each other the keys to their houses, to exchange lives. This is all in the mind of one person and nobody would agree to that. Our main character has a loving wife at home, a pregnant wife, but he will often leave her, remove his wedding ring, and go to have affairs with other women. Throughout the whole film, the situation gets tougher and tougher. His wife tries her best to make things work. His mistress notices the sign of the ring on his finger and gets upset. Their sexual relationship starts to have issues. He loses control. He feels powerless, he feels helpless, he feels controlled. Even during his lectures, he speaks about control, he speaks about the concept of doubles. The whole gloomy city in which he lives is depicted as this oppressive spider's web. The electric wires above the streets on which he travels look like crisscross webs, keeping everybody trapped. The tram wires are like spider legs. Their graffiti depicting symbolism of dictatorships. There is a vision of a huge spider walking across the city, dominating it, keeping everybody submissive. In our main character's mind, women are like spiders. They are dominating, controlling, fast. They can be very sensual, but in a cunning manner. They can quickly trap you like a fly. At the sex club, which represents a free place for our character to express his desires, he sees a spider nearly being crushed, killed, freedom. While at the end of the film, the weight of this relationship is so tough that he sees his wife as a huge controlling spider, and he gives a sigh of reluctant acknowledgement of the situation. Throughout the whole film, the point of view shifts from Professor Jake to actor Jake, trying to make unclear which is the real character and which is the one made up in his mind. I don't believe there is a definite real Jake and a made-up one, and I don't even think it's the point of the story. I think that if we were to speak in realistic, down-to-earth terms, it could be a frustrated professor with aspiring dreams of a more successful life, such as being an actor, or it could be two different timelines with a failed actor who ended up teaching. After all, we do see the character teaching, but we never see him acting, if not in one brief scene which only he saw. But the important thing is not this. It is that the whole film is based on feeling uncomfortable and not wanting to commit to a responsible adult life, of being torn between the happiness with his wife and freedom from what the character feels as controlling strings. Whether he's in the fancy apartment or in the messy clothes, Whether he is Anthony or Adam or a bit of both, he is always the same troubled person. And as the title of the film suggests, this identical other person is not a double, but rather an enemy. A confusing part of the mind which emerges and brings even more chaos to the situation. I think our main character probably has a lengthy history of feeling unstable on a psychological level, to the point of creating all of these thoughts. And maybe his wife's pregnancy and the idea of committing to a family life trigger the situation to reach a whole new level. And I believe his mother is aware of it. She has been helping him over the course of the years, because after all, if we put aside his sexual relationships, she is the only person with which he really speaks, he really interacts. She does not seem shocked by her son's wild thoughts about this identical other person, as if in the past he might have already come up with similar conversations. She just plainly explains why this could not be possible. And even when he starts to show aversion to a food he's always enjoyed, such as blueberries, she just simply shuts down the conversation with, "Of course you do." She encourages him to stop these fantasies about being another man. She does not seem particularly concerned, shocked, worried about her son's thoughts. And at the same time, he does not insist upon the matter, as though he knows that deep down it is not true, and that they had similar conversations in the past. And also think about the moment in which Jake discovers his identical twin. It's through a movie which was randomly suggested by an unknown colleague, which just casually pulls out the topic of movies. Either this encounter never happened, his colleague appears one time alone just for the sake of directed Jake in this direction, or this character is real and Jake just envisions himself in the film. In either case, there are evident reasons to believe his mind is going through a very difficult moment. There is one element I still haven't managed to work out, and that is the blueberries. They are the only food we see in this cold world made of traffic and wires, the only coloured thing in a world of sepia and grey, and the characters speak about them twice. They insist upon this element. The film makes sure we remember it. Why? I looked up if there's any symbolism about this fruit, and the only thing I found out is that in the past it represented wealth. But still, it wouldn't make any sense to the story, if not to prove how actor Anthony has a happy lifestyle, while Adam doesn't, and he doesn't want to eat them because it connects him to that life. If anybody has any theories about this, please let me know. In general, I'd love to hear your thoughts about Enemy, so feel free to share any of your thoughts down below. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope I managed to make things a little more clear. If you want to see more movie related content, make sure to subscribe, and I'll see you soon. Bye.